Our guest artist friend Nina Reginster claims that she's not a very patient person, and so she found a way to make art that caters to her personality and one that brings joy through happy accidents. What started as a sincere gesture to bring holiday cheer to her friends led her to discover and fall in love more with watercolor. In this episode, Nina talks about tips and tricks for painting plants in watercolor, why being impatient can be an opportunity for you to learn something new, how to develop your style, beginner's guide to loose watercolor illustrations, and why making art for others is an opportunity you don't want to miss. If you want to be part of the conversation, then send in your questions and topics you want us to cover to hello@etcherlab.com. Hey, this is Jessie from Etcher. We believe in your power to create, so we invited artists from all around the globe to inspire you to keep on creating. Join us in this journey and let's celebrate creativity. This is Make More Art, the podcast.
When I was a child, I used to really love watercolor, and I remember my parents, they had like this plastic thing to put over the table in where we yeah, you should sit there, have dinner. I would put like the plastic thing so not mess up the whole table, and then I would paint with really like crappy paper to print paper, usually just not for watercolor. I learned now, but I used to really love doing that, and I had like phases where for every night I think it was almost the only thing I did, and then my parents they even I remember once they told my aunt to get me paint supplies as a present, so they gave me acrylics. And I remember that I was like, oh, I don't really like this acrylic thing. I had a canvas and I had only one, I think, and I had to paint one thing on it. And then the pressure was too much, I think, because I remember, I still know what I painted. It was a tree with some clouds, really childish. I think I was, I don't know, 7 years old or something. Uh, yeah, but the only thing I remember from that is that I really loved watercolor. I hated the fact that the paper was always buckling because I didn't have proper material, of course, and I didn't really like acrylics. And then I totally forgot about it growing up. I guess, the years went by and I had never thought about it again. It was just something I did as a kid. And then when was it? I think in November 2019, so 2 years ago, I passed by a store, not really an art store, but just like a store where you can buy everything and nothing, cheap stuff like mugs and notebooks and everything. And there I saw some paint supplies for watercolor, and I was like, oh, maybe I could make my own Christmas cards this year, and I could paint them and I could send them to my friends and family. So that was actually the thing that got me enthusiastic just in that store to buy it. And then I came home and I started to try it immediately. And again, I was so disappointed by my results because really, it was like I was a child again. It was the ugliest Christmas tree you ever saw. So I decided to look up on YouTube some advice, and that's actually where a whole world opened itself for me. Like I realized that now I'm an adult and I have access to internet. I can look up stuff and I can make really nice things because online you could find a lot of examples, a lot of inspiration, a lot of explanations. So I took some tutorials and I made some pretty Christmas cards, and my friends were really impressed by it, even if it was the first thing. And it got me going. After that, I just didn't stop and I became really addicted. So I followed more tutorials. I learned until now almost everything online. But I'm still learning every day, but I'm still as enthusiastic as I was in day one.
Very interesting. Thanks, Nina, for taking us through that journey. So, first thing was you started as a kid, and I think everyone did when we were kids, right? Everyone tried their hands on either watercolor. You said that you also tried acrylic, but your heart is really with watercolor.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
Uh, It's just the thing about watercolor that I love so much is that the water gives you special effects that you don't have
Yeah.
to make happen. It goes for you. It works for
Mhm.
you actually. So you don't have to plan every single stroke or every little detail. It just goes naturally, and the nicest surprises happen uh, by accident. So that's what I
Like,
really love about it.
I like that. Little nice surprises. And I think in one of the episodes, someone did say the unpredictability of watercolor
Yeah.
makes it, I guess, magical in that sense because
Hmm.
it will really surprise you. And like what you said, happy accidents. One other thing that I picked up from when you were sharing your story was that you fell in love with, you stopped watercolor, right? And then it was in November 2019 when you decided to make Christmas cards for your friends.
Yeah.
What's interesting about that was you started with watercolor again to make something for other people, for your friends. And I guess that's what makes it more memorable, I guess, or more intentional when you start making art, was that you did it for someone else. And
Yeah,
you may have
totally.
mentioned several times in this podcast, and I went over and over about making gifts for others through your work of art, through your art. When you were making those Christmas cards, and you said that you started going back to it again, to watercolor again. And was there any sort of, do I really want to paint Christmas cards, or would they like it or not? Do you have those kind of thoughts when you were making them?
Yes, totally. Because I thought, oh, they're gonna look at me and think I'm a child, you know. Should I even send this to them? But you have to know about me. The Christmas card that I sent the year before that was, me, my boyfriend, in front of a Christmas tree holding our cats with the most ridiculous outfit. So we kind of had a reputation of sending really strange things for Christmas. We're not the classical Christmas card givers. And what I did is I sent some pictures to, I think, a really good friend of mine beforehand. And she was like, no, you should totally do it. And that's
Okay.
really nice. So I got some good feedback before I decided to send it to everyone because, yeah, it's a bit, yeah, you don't have to feel the shame. You just have to do it, I think.
Plus, it's a very heartwarming gesture, I would say. Because for me, I would personally would like to receive something that's handmade. And painting a Christmas card like from scratch, that has to mean something for someone who will be receiving the card.
Yeah.
And you said that from then on, you didn't stop. So do you paint every day?
Aha, not every day, but if I could, I would
Oh,
really. There's not a day that I don't want to. So I don't think I've ever had a day that I was just home and I didn't paint and I was sitting in the couch and reading a book or watching TV. I don't think I did that. Uh, but sometimes, of course, I have a job and then at night I have plans and then
yeah.
I'm not gonna come home and paint. But I think every week I paint at least once, and most weeks I guess I paint 3 or 4 times.
I was looking at your feed, Nina, and one thing that I noticed is your style of painting. Was it something that you did intentionally when you started with watercolor? I know you mentioned that you like that the effect of watercolor, the happy accident that it just gives you an unpredictable result. But your style, it's loose. It's loose,
Yeah,
whether it's florals. I saw your landscape. I think I saw a portrait and some animals too. So there were like a variety of different things. And for me, if say I would want to learn watercolor, I would really would want to follow you if you have any tutorials for any of those. So your style, how did you develop the? I mean, what most people would say watercolor, yeah, they tend to do loose, but was it something that you intentionally did or studied?
No,
No? Okay.
not really. But what's in my method is that I don't love to spend 3 hours on a painting. It
Oh,
will make me too tired, and I have a very impatient personality in
okay.
all aspects of my life. So also in paintings, I'm not patient. I prefer it to be done in a half an hour so I can start again and make a new one and make
Yeah.
another one. I like to make quick results, have a lot of results. So I think that's mainly a part of the reason why my paintings are not super detailed, because it just takes so much time. And I just love how it looks when you don't take that much effort, but still it looks loose, but still people can see what it is that you're trying to paint. You know, you can paint an animal and you can still see that it's a dog, or
Yeah.
you know, you don't have to paint every single hair on there. You can. I admire the people that can do that. But for me, yeah, it's not for me.
So how I asked you earlier how many times do you paint or do you paint every day? And you said no. So you two did you say 2 to 4, 3 times in a week?
Yeah, I thought 3 to 4, but
Or
I've never really paid a lot of attention on it. Sometimes it's every day, and some weeks it's a busy week and it's once a week. Of course, I had a lot of time on my hands with COVID,
yeah.
um, but still now I make time for it. Yeah, what I love the most is after a long day of work,
Mhm.
that you can just relax and paint, and it clears your mind really. It's like meditation.
That's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people turn to art during at the onset of the pandemic. Even up until now, people gravitate towards different things, whether meditation. But I've noticed an increase in the number of people who are doing art. And
Hmm.
of course, with an Etcher, we've seen that a lot of people are tuning in and watching tutorials and the live demos. Which brings me to my other question. I know you will be teaching with us on the 29th. So can you share a little bit more about, we talked about your style earlier, but can you share a
Yeah.
little bit more about what you will be sharing during your live and what you will be teaching during your mini workshop?
Hmm. The topic I chose is one of the things that I like to paint the most. It's plants, because I'm a very big plant fan. My apartment is full of plants, and so it's easy inspiration for me because it's all around me, and I just love to paint it. So for the live demo, what I'm gonna do is like a succulent, it's called.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a plant that's only, I don't know, 15 centimeters tall, really cute, small one. And we're gonna paint some of the leaves that are on there. And what I would like to try and teach is to observe the plant beforehand and make a small sketch, not really a difficult one, but just that you get comfortable to make a sketch out of something that you see, and you try to pay attention to the position of the plant in the space. So you try to portray the fact that the leaves are going in all different directions.
Amazing.
And then,
Okay.
yeah, I'm really excited.
We, we are too. So that's for your live demo. I don't have succulents in my home, but I know that it has like layers of leaves. Is that right? Or I'm
um,
thinking of another plant in my head.
Interesting about it is that the leaves are going in all the
Yeah,
directions, you
like
know,
in different
and
directions.
sometimes, and in the beginning, when I wanted to paint something like this, I always have the urge to just paint a leaf on the left, a leaf on the right, a leaf on the left, a leaf on the right. But actually, they're going in the front, in the back, a little bit more upwards, downwards, and we're gonna focus on that. How to put something that's 3D on a painting and still make
That,
it look.
yeah, that's a really good one because I personally I'm not good with space relations. So every time I look at a painting and let's say perspective, if I want to paint it from the top, I find it quite hard to like move the leaves so that it will look like they're either overlapping each other or like in different directions.
Yeah.
So I know you will be sharing that during your live demo, but any tips and tricks that you can mention on this episode that would help any beginners, say how would you approach a painting with, let's say, that succulent?
Hmm. Well, as I said, I will first try to make a sketch, and the thing is that you should try to see, look at the plant and look at it as if it's flat. And then you can see, for example, the leaf, yeah, it kind of has a shape like a triangle, maybe. Just you try to look at it and see which shapes are in there in order to make a sketch. And then what's also really important, I think, for this is that you try to look at the lighting. So which parts are a little bit darker than the other ones. Probably they're below another leaf, and so if you paint them darker as well, you're gonna portray that effect of layers. So that's I think the things I would look at. Yeah.
Make More Art, the podcast, is made possible by listeners like you. So we would like to give a shout out to Michael Zuber from YouTube on a recent episode with Max McGee. He said, "This was so inspiring. Thank you, Max, for the tips, and thanks, Etcher, for the great content." Make sure you never miss an episode by clicking the subscribe button now. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show. That makes sense, and that's a really good tip as well, Nina. The light, and then looking at the plant as if it's flat and
Mhm.
creating shapes out of them. Those are really good points. Now, for your mini workshop, it's going to be a level up from what you will be sharing during your live demo. So, can you share a little bit more about what they can expect for your mini workshop?
Yeah, so actually the thing is about the small plant that we're gonna paint, it will be a mini plant, so really
Yeah.
small, and we're gonna stick to one color so that we can really focus on this shadowing part and what I said before, you know. But then in the live in the mini workshop, we're gonna take a step up. We're gonna add colors, uh, and we're gonna make a larger plant this time, an avocado plant. Fun fact, I grew it myself during COVID, of course.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, the thing that you take the pits, you put it in the water, and a whole plant grows. So we're gonna expand on the techniques from the live demo. So creating the 3D effect is also really a thing with the avocado plant, but we're gonna see more layers because the leaves are more overlapping in an avocado plant. And yeah, how to mix, you know, the different shades of green, where to apply them, and again, paying attention to light and shadow even more.
I love avocado. That's one. So I'll be looking forward to your mini workshop, Nina. But thank you for sharing a bit more. I'm sure our listeners and your followers as well will be very much excited to see you share those step-by-step process, especially during your mini workshop. I know that for the live demo, it's going to be sort of a teaser. It's going to be the basic
Yeah,
tutorial, but the mini workshop is a more in-depth showcase and a step-by-step process so they can paint alongside.
yes.
Okay. Now, when we talk about, so for because like what I said earlier, offline, when I look at your feed or your Instagram feed, the feeling that I have is that your works are very accessible. Like if I'm a beginner and if you have any tutorials, I would definitely watch because you make it look so easy. And you
Yeah.
said that you are very impatient, and that's why you would only spend a little time painting, but then you still get the results. So, any tips and tricks on how to do that? Because a lot of people would be so intimidated to start making art because one, it's either they feel they need to spend a lot of time to paint, two, probably they don't know what tools or what materials to get.
Yeah.
And the third one is that they don't think that they will be able to get the same results. And I know you said this a little earlier that when you started, this doesn't look good, but from what I've gathered, it does look ugly before it moves to something really good. when it comes to either making art or starting with watercolor.
Hmm. Yeah, I can totally understand. In the beginning, you look at some beautiful painting and you think, well, I wish that I could do it. And then maybe you tried it once and you think, ah, I didn't get the same result, and it feels, not nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I think that helps a lot is to remember that every painting that you don't like is somewhere where you can learn. So if you make a painting and you think, well, I didn't really like my result here, think about why that is. Look at your painting and compare at the thing that you were trying to portray, and think, okay, what does this other painting or picture have that my painting didn't have? Maybe the proportions were strange. I remember I had that in the beginning with my
Same
Christmas tree,
here.
the first time. Strange. I did like a triangle that was not correct. Look at it and think, okay, what's off here? And when you in what I always have is also, if you just painted it and you look at it and you just think, I don't like the result, but I don't know what's wrong, step away from it. Maybe take a drink, or even the next day come back to it, look at it again with fresh eyes, and 9 times out of 10 you're gonna see it. You're gonna see what it was that maybe you looked over or you didn't pay attention to, and that's where you learn and where you can go and try again, because that's my other tip. If you did something and the result isn't quite what you hoped it would be, the chances are, if you try it again, exactly the same painting, you're going to improve so much more, and one of your best works can arise from it. So it's not because it doesn't look nice the first time that you wouldn't want to try it second time, a third time. So yeah, those are a bit of my tips. And really, you mentioned that you saw like a portrait on my feed. It was a painting that I did of my boyfriend, and the first
Yeah,
time that I did it,
yeah, it's
it
important.
was so ugly. Yeah, it's my boyfriend, but the first time that I tried it, it was really funny how ugly it was. Everything was wrong and really, really horrible. I shared it in my story somewhere, and then I think a year later, I thought, okay, we're gonna try it again. And it's still not perfect, but it's already so much better. And I didn't have to wait a year. Actually, I should have tried it again way sooner. But it's, yeah, I think it's a struggle everybody will always have. It's a learning curve.
Yeah, and I really like when you pointed out about trying again. You said you took about a year, but you like what you said, you shouldn't have waited that long to give it a try. So that's really a good piece of advice for anyone who's listening. Because yeah, it can be very frustrating, right? When you start it up and it doesn't look good, chances are it's not for me. But hearing you talk about your journey, Nina, for me at least, it made me realize that you just have to keep on going and you just have to try it again, because definitely what you did the first time, sooner when you did it the second time, it's going to be different because you learned something when you tried it the first time.
Yeah, of course. As long as the thing that you learned is not, oh, I can't paint this subject, it's just not for me. As long as that's not the thing that you remember from it, then it's fine. You have to look at it and you have to think, oh, I used too much color, or, I didn't pay attention to shadow, and then try it again and pay attention.
And also when you talk about you being impatient, for this one it doesn't translate to something negative, because you don't spend a lot of hours like sitting down and painting because that's not your style. But that impatience led you to discover the different side of watercolor, which is loose, which still allows you to create beautiful pieces of art. And now you will be sharing them with the Etcher students, our listeners, and our audience, so that, even if you spend a little time making art, you'll be surprised by the results. And you is a perfect testament to that, that you
Yeah.
absolutely make beautiful art and teach them to anyone who would want to learn.
Yeah, that's really the the thing that I would love to teach someone the confidence in the fact that you can make something nice in 20 minutes. You
20
don't
minutes.
need the whole night.
Wow,
Yeah, why not? It should be
that's,
possible.
that's great. 20 minutes. I'm sure anyone who's listening, wow, what you can paint in 20 minutes. So if you really want to learn more about that, then you definitely need to watch out the live demo of Nina and her mini workshop because she will be teaching those tips and tricks. So I just have some fire questions before I ask you another question before we wrap up, Nina. Pick up the best time to paint. What time would that be?
You mean time of the day,
Yeah,
time of the
time of the day.
year?
Time of the
Oh,
day.
okay. Hmm. Ah, I like to paint every day, all day. So, but I would say at night to clear your
Oh,
mind. That's the thing that I said I really like to do. So I'm gonna stick by it.
okay.
But you
That makes
know,
sense.
maybe
Yeah.
I'm having second thoughts of my answer because during the day there's daylight and you can
Yeah,
find
that's
inspiration
relaxing.
all around you. So maybe it's better during the day. It's more logical, but who has time during the day?
It's true.
Not everybody, you know. So
That is true. That is true. Okay. Color in your palette that you can't live without. What is that specific color that is always present in your artworks?
I think it must be green
It's
because I'm really into botanicals, florals,
okay.
landscapes. I guess it will be green, but I love to make it myself. So maybe it's like blue and yellow. Yeah,
Oh, I was actually about to ask which specific green, because in watercolor you have a ton of green.
yeah.
You have a lot of green. So is there anything, but you did mention that you love creating your own mix of green. Like would
Yes, and to be honest, I'm not really good with the names of each
me too.
color.
But there's just a lot when you look at a palette, right? Oh wow.
Yeah,
There's a lot.
I yeah, I have to study them better. But I think a warm shade of green, let's say.
Warm
Yeah.
shade of green. Okay. Brush size that you normally use for your painting?
6, always 6.
Okay, 6.
Yeah.
Is it a round tip or
Yes.
oh, okay, round tip. All right.
You can do details. You can, if you have to, you'll paint the whole background. It will be easier with a bigger size, yes, but you can do anything with it. So,
I agree. I agree with 6. I agree with 6. You can definitely do a lot with size 6 brush. Okay.
yeah.
If you are to choose just one subject to paint every day, what would that be? I have an idea of what your answer will be, but I'm gonna let you just go for it.
It's difficult because I have phases. I have phases where I love to paint florals, phases where I love to paint plants. When I'm on vacation and I see beautiful landscapes, I want to paint landscapes. But
Okay.
I think, yeah, it will probably be like botanicals, something with plants, leaves,
Okay.
maybe flowers. Yeah, I'm cheating, no.
No, that's okay. That's okay. If because I would if I ask myself the same question, it's gonna be hard because sometimes I am all about leaves, but sometimes I like florals. Or if I'm
Mhm.
being lazy, I'll do galaxy maybe and just drop in colors and just do a splash. Uh,
Oh, nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now another question that I asked, and this I started asking, I think a month ago with the artists that I have on, and it's always interesting to hear the answer for this question. It's a simple one, and that is the question of what is art for you?
It's a way to relax for me. Yeah,
Short
I
and
think that's the
simple,
biggest.
but
Hmm.
it's true. It's true. I like what I said earlier. A lot of people gravitated towards art during the. I mean, we are still in pandemic, but yeah, a lot of people find art very therapeutic and a way for them to de-stress. So
Yeah,
thank you for sharing.
sometimes you have, your head that's full of thoughts, and if you're painting, you're just thinking about painting. That's what I love most about it.
Me too. Likewise. Yeah, I do love. And here at Make More Art, that's really what we stand for. we invite artists to talk about their journey because we want to inspire others to make more art, make art. I mean, it's not just for people who are born with, with the skill, with the talent to paint, but art is
Yes.
a lot of things. You can literally not just painting, but there are different facets of what art is. And thank you for sharing your journey with us, Nina. And I really look forward to your live demo, especially the mini workshop because it's an avocado. I'm biased because I love if I can eat that every day. I would. But yours is you're gonna be
Yeah.
the avocado plant, right? For your mini
Yes.
workshop. So, and we will be sharing tips and tricks as well. So that's something to look forward to. Nina Corel is your Instagram, right? So I'm gonna include that in the description box. But I really enjoyed chatting with you, Nina, and like what I said at the beginning, when I look at your feed, your art, it's very accessible for someone who would want to learn. When I look at you, you make it look so easy. And hearing
It's
you talk about that, it takes you roughly 20 minutes to create those. It's just really inspiring, and I hope that the people who are listening and will be watching this will also be inspired to learn from you.
it's accessible, like you said. It's yeah.
Thank you, Nina. And plus, it's fun to be journeying with the artist who is also teaching the skill. So thank you for taking us through that journey, Nina. Thank you again for being on the show. I enjoyed chatting with you, and thank you for agreeing to do this interview with me. Your workshop, your live demo is happening on the 29th, so we do look forward to it. I will be sharing the link on the details of that workshop as well into the description box and into our show notes. So please do watch out for that. Thank you,
Thank
Nina,
you
again.
so much.
So take care of yourself. I'll speak to you again soon. Thank you.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. It feels rather fulfilling to create something in a short span of time, sans the pressure, and also for people you love and care about. Just like what Nina did when she started with watercolor. Have you tried making gifts for others through art? Do let us know by sharing your comments through the blog post associated with this podcast at etcherlab.com/Nina. Want to know what goes behind the scenes here at Etcher? We heard ya. We are lifting the curtain and giving you VIP access to do just that. Get to know who does what here at Etcher Lab. So joining me for the Etcher team spotlight is Mark. He is one of probably the only guy within the studio admin team, and it's with great pleasure to introduce him to you, to our listeners, and what our audience here at Etcher Studio. So without further ado, please welcome to Make More Art, Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Jesse. To everybody who's listening, hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, and I'm
Yeah, we
happy
have
to be
people
here
from all
with you.
over. That's
Yeah.
good. So studio admin, I'm really surprised because for the like length of time that I have been with Etcher, it's the entire studio admin team. They're all women, and this is really good to be interviewing someone from the studio admin team who is a man. So how does it feel to be surrounded? Well, not really surrounded, but because we work remotely. I mean, we're not surrounded physically, but how is it working? How's the dynamics of working in an environment or in a team? And you are the only guy, the only
Well,
thorn, I would say.
yeah. Well, working with them, being the only guy in the team, it's really amazing because I can see how detail oriented females are. I mean, the other admins in my team, they are very particular, and I'm learning a lot from them. Yeah, every day, since I'm the new guy.
Yeah,
I asked a lot of questions from them, and they are really helpful. Yeah, so
that's good
I
to hear.
learn a lot from them.
That's good to hear. And yeah, they are really amazing, very generous and kind um, members of the studio admin team. So you said you're fairly new, and I kind of know. So when I used to be part of this studio host team. Now I'm part of the content team, which we're in. I focus more on the podcast. But how have you been with Or when did you start?
Hired back in August. I actually applied back in April, but my hiring process was delayed, and I came back in August, and then the process was I was accepted as one of the studio admins, the first and only guy in the studio
Guys,
admin.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I think 4 months. 4.
4 months. So okay, so you've been with the admin team since August. But the hiring process started in April. So you're also a pandemic hire, just like myself. I started May, I think, or June, if my memory serves me right. How has it been working for studio admin? Before you answer that, what was your previous work before joining Etcher?
Oh, so before working with Etcher, I was a receptionist kind of thing for a physiotherapy clinic chain based in Canada.
Ooh.
So my main job was to answer calls from patients who wants to book their appointment. So yeah, that was my day-to-day task working with Health Max Physiotherapy. And after
Okay.
that, I was hired with in Etcher. The transition was I could say it a mixture of because I was also doing some admin stuff back in my previous job. So the only thing that was a bit difficult for me during the transition with this new job in Etcher was how detail oriented the admins are, the tasks are. So I have to be very careful with all the details because a small mistake it could really affect a lot of customers who may might complain. Yeah,
That's
so
true.
you have to go back with your pad and fix everything. But eventually, I got a grasp of how to do the task, and then, uh, especially with the help of the my co-admins, yeah, they did a lot in helping me to do the job easier.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear. So, given that, so how long has it been? 4 months? August, September, October.
Yes,
Yeah, four
4 months.
months. What would you say is the best part of being a studio admin?
For me, the best part would be, though we are working remotely, I can still feel the closeness of each admins. The bond is there. The communication is really great. Yeah, we have a tight closeness, and we are actually one of the best thing that I really like is how we help each other. So
Mhm.
if someone has a question, we just drop the question there, and then anyone who knows the answer could just give the answer. So we kind of help each other out, so just to get the task done.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. And I'm glad to. I mean, the studio admin team, like what I said earlier, very generous team. They're very easy to work with. So I have one final question before we wrap up. The Is that a painting? Your background, is that a painting or is that a wallpaper, a digital light?
This is a wallpaper, a background, wallpaper background.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason I ask is for most of the Etcher staff that I have interviewed, they started making art. And we are in Make More Art podcast. I have to ask, have you started doing any art or are you into arts prior to joining Etcher?
I was actually when I was in high school, I really like art, but I've never had the opportunity to uh like go further with
Mm-hmm.
my interest, since maybe because we don't I don't have the resources to have the materials that I want, or to do the art that I also want. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's one reason. And but still I'm really interested in art. I'm really amazed whenever I see different uh art from different artists, but the only thing is that, yeah, I can just stand there in awe, but I cannot do that. I'm just there to enjoy
Okay.
their art.
Okay. But do you plan to try out any of our tutorials? And we have a lot. Have you tried any?
Yeah, I haven't tried, but if I maybe I could get some art materials and try it probably in the future.
You
Yeah, because
should, you should. Yeah.
artists in Etcher are really, really good. I'm really amazed with their jobs, with their
Yeah, they
art.
are. All of the artists, all of our artists are they're amazing and very talented. Mark, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you on this segment for Make More Art, which is the Etcher Team Spotlight. And so great to finally meet you. So thank you for sharing a little bit more about yourself and what you do. And welcome to Etcher as well. I know it's 4 months late, but welcome to the team. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for having me.
We would love to hear your thoughts, so please drop us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast, or you can find us on YouTube at Etcher Studio. And hitting the subscribe button is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you again next time. Until then, let's make more art.